Hello viewers, welcome to One Stop All Poetry Solution. We are meeting after a long time, and in this video we are going to discuss about Rabindranath Tagore's poem Govinda's Disciple. Govinda's Disciple by Rabindranath Tagore talks about how to give up materialistic pleasures in order to gain true knowledge. Far below flowed the Ganga, quick and clear. Above frowned the jutting bank. Hills dark with the woods and scarred torrents were gathered around. Govinda, the great teacher, sat on the rock. Scriptures, when Raghunath, his disciple, proud of his wealth, came, bowed to him and said, I have bought my poor wealth unworthy of thy acceptance. So, in this few lines that we are reading initially, you will see that the setting is created first by the poet. We are immediately transported from our urban landscape and the din and the noise of the city to the lap of nature. There are hills all around, river is flowing in torrents, the river bank is jutted and marked by the hills in such a way as if it is looking like the landscape is eternally frowning. It is in a perpetual frown. The marks on the forehead that appear when we are angry or worried, or we knit our eyebrows together, the marks or the lines that appear, that is known as frowning. So that is the entire landscape that we are transported into, and immediately when we visualize it, it calms our mind. So what is happening there? Govinda, the great teacher, he was sitting on the rock and he was reading the scriptures, when what happened? Raghunath, his disciple, comes, who is very wealthy, and not only wealthy but proud of his wealth. His arrogance and ignorance is right in front of his eyes, and is very evident in his actions. You will see later also. And just bowing his head, you might question that if he is so arrogant, then why is he bowing? That might also be an expression of his arrogance, that might also be an expression of his pride. And he said that I have brought my poor wealth, that I have brought something which is not worthy of your acceptance. You have so much thing, and see what I have brought for you. That power, the arrogance, the wealth, the idea, the attitude of showing off, that is very clearly evident in his words. So then after saying this, he displayed before his teacher, as if trying to lure or show off the wealth, the possession that he had brought for his teacher Govinda, and it was a pair of golden bangles which was studded with costly gems and diamonds. So it was doubly expensive. The master took up one of them, twirling it round his finger, and the diamonds darted shafts of light. So as he took up the pair of bangles in one of his fingers and started twirling it, it is the movement when you move certain circular thing on your finger round and round. You must have seen the chakra that revolves in Vishnu's fingers, right? That is also a twirling movement. So that will help you to visualize exactly the movement. And as he was twirling it, since it was a clear and bright and beautiful day, the sunlight was reflected by the stones, and it was the shafts of light were being reflected, columns or beams of light were being reflected from the numerous precious stones that were studded on the golden bangle. And the master Govinda did not comment anything. We here only listen to one word, or rather a phrase that is spoken by Govinda, that also towards the end. It is Raghunath who is speaking more than his teacher, and Govinda does not express any kind of excitement, any kind of attachment, because if he had shown any kind of attachment, then maybe we the readers would not have seen the twirling expression that he had taken up at the first instance only when he saw the golden bangles. And what happened next? It slipped from his hand and rolled down the bank into the water. Raghunath jumped into the water. There you go. This strikes the central idea, the central note of the poem. Suddenly it slipped from his hand. Now we wonder whether it was actually slipping, it had actually slipped from his hand and rolled down into the bank. into the water, and Raghunath jumped into the water. Immediately following the movement, Raghunath jumped into the water because he had attached much value to the golden bangles, to the golden pair of, to the whatever it was, not because only one of them was thrown, not the two of them. And so whatever knowledge that he had gained from Govinda, he was a great teacher, and whatever knowledge he had gained, it it immediately was drained into the river as soon as he jumped into it in search of, that golden bangle. Now this search, as he jumped into it, you might ask the question that what is the significance of this? This signifies also, in I think it signifies two things. First is that the immense knowledge, the ocean of knowledge, or the river of knowledge, basically whatever you refer to it as, the huge expanse, the depth, and the never endingness or the never endlessness of of knowledge, that is something which is very evident here as one takes a dip into the ocean of knowledge. So this river has been compared to the ocean of knowledge as Raghunath dips into it, and probably when he dips into it, he obviously does not find the bangle, and that is something quite clear here, that he knows nothing in that immense ocean of knowledge. That is something quite unclear to him, something that highlights his ignorance also as he jumped into the water. And another thing is that his material attachment, that is very clearly evident here. When a material, when you are trying to evaluate your material wealth with knowledge, spirituality, divinity, then it is something which cannot exactly be evaluated, which exactly cannot be scaled or measured. And that is something that we get to learn here. That is something that we get to realize here. We, the readers, get to realize in these lines. So that first, the Govinda brings the pair of bangles. He's trying to show off his wealth. He's trying to show his arrogance. He's trying to show he is ignorant. That is very evident from the lines that he is speaking, that it is not worthy of your acceptance. And then it also shows one more thing that it also shows is that he is basically demeaning the teacher's knowledge by trying to evaluate it, by trying to give it some kind of a measurement. Now the teacher set his eyes upon his book, and the water held and hid what it stole and ran away. The daylight faded when Raghunath came back. To the teacher, tired and dripping, he panted and said, "I can still get it back if you show me where it fell." The teacher took up the remaining bangle and throwing it into the water said, "It is there." So he had given, by throwing it into the water in the first instance, the teacher tried to show that yes, go and learn, that material gains, material pleasures is not everything or is nothing compared to the vast ocean of knowledge that is present in the world. But after that, when Raghunath jumped into the river in order to get back the lost bangle, when he jumped into the river and came back when evening set in order to, in order to ask about the exact location of the bangle, he was totally tired, he was drenched to the skin, and he asked that, "Show it to me, where is it? Because you know it has slipped from your hand, or rather you have thrown it into the river, you must be knowing where it is, so exactly show me, I will get it for you." But Govinda was not interested in that materialistic pleasure or materialistic wealth. He was refusing to spoon feed. He was asking Raghunath by setting an example, by demonstrating that gain knowledge for yourself. Because certain things should not or cannot be spoon fed, certain things need to be learned by experience, and Raghunath failed yet again to learn from that experience. So the remaining bangle was taken up by Govinda and was again thrown into the river by telling, "It is there." So again he was sent to dive into the river to find it. We don't know whether he dived into the river or whether he attained exactly in the perfect sense of the term, whether he understood what his teacher was trying to tell him. But that is the clear indication that in that immense ocean of knowledge, or that immense river of knowledge, materialistic pleasures is of no importance. Neither should we attach any value to it if we are interested in allowing divinity and spirituality to enter our mind, to enter our soul and make us a knowledgeable person, because our materialistic attachment is the basic or the primary impediment in the on the path of the spiritual attainment. So we are occupied with wealth, luxuries, and all the related things that for which we can never attain spirituality. So few things before I end is the figures of speech. First is the imagery that is given to the human characteristic. Frowning, that a human would, that is the human characteristic, that when the hills are frowning, that is a use of personification. Next is the golden costly, when the golden bangles fall into the river, we are told that the river as if stole it, so there is another reference of personification. The poem also uses imagery where we are appealed by the poet to the five senses that we have, and the bejeweled golden bangles studded, we can easily visualize that what it signifies as Raghunath again dives into the river to find it. This poem also uses paradox, which is very important, as when the sun was setting, the disciple, that is Raghunath, begs his teacher to find the bangle or to pinpoint it, and the teacher refuses to show exactly the location. So instead of going into the river and helping him in recovering the golden bangle, he clearly tries to identify the lost knowledge, the ignorance that he was displaying. I hope you have enjoyed the poem, and do like, share and subscribe.